Well, I hope that I can be heard. I'm assuming that I can. I guess I will have to check. Unlike recording videos, I can't really tell if, unless I log into my account a second time, just to hear it to see if I am actually being heard or not. We will see. Can I be heard? Maybe not. I do not know. Yes, I do not know. That echo just told me. Hi, Miss Carter. What are you doing? I feel like absolute crap. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I wanted to do something. And tonight, what I want to talk about for a little bit before I have a allergy attack that puts me down. Okay, good. Yeah, I just checked with the other account. Not, I don't have another account. I just opened up my account in another window. But I want to discuss the Alien Quadrilogy so I can do all four of them at the same time instead of making four separate videos. And also have this. Now, some people would say, why did you buy this if you have this? Okay, they released the Quadrilogy in individual with the director's cuts and in a box set. Now, I'm one to admit I can be an absolute blonde, even though I'm a redhead. I can be a blonde. I stepped on it and broke the first disc. So I could either pay $20 to get it back, or I could buy the single of the first disc, the original movie, to get the director's cut. I watched the first one, 1994, and then I've got it ready to watch the next one, the next two, but I haven't kept up with them. Not because I didn't love it, I loved it, but I can't. I keep doing stuff like trolling YouTube, watching streams, all of these movies I need to watch. So let's start with the first one. Have you seen these? The original Alien, the director on it says that the theatrical cut is his director's cut, and I agree. Um, the director's cut is actually a minute shorter than the director's cut. I mean, than the theatrical cut. And all he did really was he added a couple of scenes, including one that is not canon, but he put it in there just to show people so they could have it in their collection. And that is a scene of Dallas and um, oh, I love all of them, including the new ones. But they included Kane and Dallas a scene in the director's cut where Ripley goes and finds them, and they are being turned into eggs. Now, we all know that is not the life cycle of the xenomorphs. The eggs are where the facehugger comes out and impregnates you. But because they had not decided where to take canon, they had filmed that scene, and then during the production, they kind of figured out the life cycle of the xenomorph, and they were like, "Well, this scene doesn't work anymore because they do not transform their victims into eggs. Yet the scene has Dallas and Kane being turned into eggs." So they cut that out, and he included it in the director's cut just so fans could have a piece of history. Um, and of course, I wouldn't want that in the movie because it's not canon. It's not the life cycle. So uh, there is a scene I wish they did put in the theatrical, and that's in the med bay after they let Kane back into the ship. Um, the other girl and Ripley get into a fist fight. I don't know why they took that out. It was pretty cool actually, because that other girl was so mad that Ripley wouldn't let them back in with when Kane was impregnated. That when she actually did get to the med bay, her and Ripley had a fist fight. So that was actually pretty cool. I'm glad they left out the non-canon scene. Well, they couldn't put the non-canon scene in of Dallas and Kane because that wouldn't work. So when it comes to the first movie, the theatrical cut is the director's cut, as he said. Um, and there's really no use in watching the director's cut except for those two scenes and a couple of other little ones. Um, and of course, I prefer the theatrical cut because that's his real cut. And so, yeah, so that's the first one. You said you seen Aliens, the second one. The second one, watching the theatrical cut is a no no. Okay. You have to watch the director's cut of Aliens because it's 30 minutes longer, for one. They explain so much more, and the interview on the disc of the second one, Aliens, he really does talk about how the director's cut actually allowed him to show his true vision. You get to see all the kids at the colony on LB 426. You get to see, I guess it's 426, I can't remember. But you get to see the colony. You get to see their life before they discovered the alien, before the Marines came, and you get 30 more minutes of character development between everyone. Bill Paxton, um, Rodriguez is fantastic. She's one of my favorite characters in that movie. Um, Pretty much it says special edition. They very quickly released back in '96. They very quickly released a special edition because he was not happy with the theatrical version. It was too short, and it had didn't have as much character development. And he was like, "There is so much more to this story." The I guess one way to know which one you've seen is when Ripley wakes up on the station. There is a scene in which she goes out and sits in this little quiet room where you see the forest and everything. And Bert comes in and shows her a picture of her daughter who is now dead. The daughter, because she's been floating for 50 years in space. So the director's cut shows you a scene in which Burke has found pictures of her daughter who grew up, got old, and died. If you saw that, then you saw the director's cut. If you don't recall a scene in which Ripley cries over a picture of her elderly daughter who is now dead, then you didn't see the director's cut. And Aliens, you cannot watch the director's cut. I mean, the theatrical cut. The theatrical cut is absolute shit compared to the director's cut of Aliens. And that leads us to number three. Now, three, everybody hated, right? Well, I mean, it was it cost 50 million to make, and they made 160 million at the box office. So it's not like it was a flop, but it was definitely people's least favorite. A lot of people didn't like Aliens 3, and I loved it like I love all of them, but it was my lowest. And now we get the real deal. Okay, the director's cut, which is called the assembly cut of Aliens 3, is also 30 minutes longer. It's got a completely different introduction. Um, Unfortunately, the little girl and Michael Baine's character are dead, which is, that's what pissed most people off about Aliens 3 was how dare you kill her and him. So that's what like aggravated a lot of people about Aliens 3. You like my new Chucky shirt? Since Chris and them were talking about Chucky, I had just gotten a new Chucky shirt. I love it. It's so cool. He's so cute. But so yeah, Aliens 3, everybody hated it because they were like, this doesn't make no sense. And the whole problem was that movie was such a disaster because the studio screwed it up so bad. They drove the director so crazy that he quit making Aliens 3. He quit. And so what you got released to the theater was the corporate cut of the movie. It was rambling, it was disjointed, um, and that's the reason why it didn't do very well. The assembly cut allowed the original director to come back and put his movie together the way he wanted it to be together, and that it jumped. If Aliens 3 was a 4 on my 1 to 10 scale, which it wasn't, it was like a 5, 5.5. But Aliens 3 was like a 5.5. It jumped up to a 9. That's how, because he rearranged all the shots, put them back in the way they were supposed to be put in, and released the assembly cut of Aliens 3. And it is absolutely fantastic. That movie makes so much more sense. The different opening of the movie uh, was so much better. You got to see so much about the colony. Charles S. Dutton's character and the prisoners, you got so much more character development. I mean, you're talking over 30 minutes of additional footage directly into the movie. You got to see so much more about the colony. You got to see so much more character development. And the chase scenes in the labyrinth made so much more sense. Instead of a dog, which a lot of people didn't like that they killed the dog in the movie. Like I'm not really about that. I don't really care about that kind of stuff. I don't want to see cruelty to animals, but animals get killed just like people do. I mean, if you can watch 20 people get slashed up in a slasher, are you really going to be upset because one of them's dog got ate, like in Deep Blue Sea or something? I mean, come on. Or the bird, like the bird, it upset me. But if people can get killed in movies, so can animals. So, but people didn't like that the alien came out of a dog in the theatrical cut of Aliens 3. But in the assembly cut, the real director's cut, it comes out of an oxen, which you didn't even know that they like had farm animals on that prison colony. So it comes out of an ox. It makes so much more sense. Everything about Aliens 3, if you have not seen the director's cut of Aliens 3, if you have not seen the director's cut, you have not seen the movie. There is a big reason. They even changed the ending. The chest burst where Ripley is dying at the end, that does not occur in the assembly cut because that was just something the studio threw in to give you a cheap thrill. So that was not part of the original director's vision. So it was not included. Instead, she just died with it inside of her and it did not burst out of her chest because a lot of people didn't like seeing that. She had feared that all through the series. And to have that realized seemed very cruel to Ripley to make her experience the chest burst when that was her greatest fear. So I like the fact that they did not include that in the assembly cut. She just went into the flames without it busting out. So, you didn't have to watch Ripley realize her worst nightmare after all she had been through. So I thought that was cool. Now, You go on to Resurrection, which a lot of people had a lot of problems with, but I liked it. Here we have another director's cut that's really nothing. They have a different intro. They rearrange some of the shots. I do watch it over the theatrical, but not for any particular reason other than it's a few minutes longer and it has some scenes kind of shifted around. But there's nothing special about the Resurrection director's cut over the theatrical. Um, but, I mean, if you have to choose, I'm going to watch the director's cut, even though the only difference is things are switched around a little bit. I think the pacing is a little different on the director's cut because of them switching around stuff and they extend a few scenes. So, yeah, you can watch the director's cut. It's worth having. So, there you go. I don't really know much more to say except how much I love the Alien franchise. Someone asked me, so you're leaving out Covenant and Prometheus? No, I love Covenant and Prometheus. Um, I would kill for him to be able to do, he's got two more movies that he wants to do to finish it up. And I think he's going to die before he gets to do them and we get to see them. But I would love them to go ahead and finish the next two sequels to Prometheus and Covenant. Um, I just think he's going to die. I mean, people die, and he's getting up there, and it takes so long to make movies. It seems. I'm afraid that he's going to die before he gets to do those two, and finish up the story for us. Or the studio is going to come in and reboot some stupid shit, and it's not going to be good. But other than that, yeah. Um, so, let's see. If you're still there, you've only seen the first two. You're not an Aliens fan. I'll continue adding content. So, yeah. That is the Alien Quadrilogy and my opinion on the director's cut, and I really, really, really am very, very thankful to have gotten this because I had waited years. I heard about the assembly cut back in 2014 when it came out, and I'm like, 30 more minutes. Um, and everybody, Aliens fan raves over the assembly cut because it turns Alien 3 into a fantastic movie. Whereas before, Aliens 3 is a very, very mediocre, disjointed movie. Uh, I love my sci fi. Predator and Aliens is two of my favorite franchises. I have and love every Predator movie except for the newest one. I heard it sucked, so I haven't gotten around to buying it yet. But I love every Aliens movie. There is nothing as cool as Aliens. So, somebody was just walking past my house. I saw them out the window and I'm like, it's 11:45 here. Who, what, when, where is walking down my dark country street? You like the silly. You like the silly? I tell you, I mean, Friday the 13th is one of my favorite, franchises. Um, but I just can't do it. I just cannot. I try because I mean, I've got it right here. I don't like cheesy horror. But I mean, see, I've got them right here. There's Friday the 13th, 1 through 4, and Friday the 13th. 5 through 8. I mean, I try, but I just can't, you know, when you get past 4, when you get past number 4, I start falling off the wagon. You know what I mean? I do like 5. I do like 6. I can handle 7, but each and every one of them goes down. You know what I mean? Each and every one of them. Uh, it's like if I try to make a top 10 list, I really honestly put 1 through 4 together. You know, they're just phenomenal. Everything about Friday the 13th, 1 through 4, is phenomenal. Uh, but 5, you know, it's like, oh, well, you know, it drops down to a 7. And then, yeah, 5 drops down to a 7 because 1 through 4 are 9.9 to me. You know, and then 5 is like a 8. Then 6 is like a 6.5. And 7 is like a 5.5. And then when you get to Jason Takes Manhattan and Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, you're down in the 3-4 range. You know what I mean? I just like, I tolerate them and I watch them for cute cast members, you know? And I understand it's not their fault. And I understand it's not their fault. I really do. Because a lot of people in the industry have written articles about how the biggest problem with a lot of movie franchises and a lot of movies, let's take Halloween and Friday the 13th. Hellraiser is another one, and that is the MPAA. You have studio interference because I'll tell you, Friday the 13th, 5 through 7, I would love them a lot more for just that one thing. The MPAA went in there and shredded them. I mean, cut them to pieces. And the director was not allowed to um, come forth with his vision, which is what's so important about this. You know, the director being allowed most of the time, like 98% of the time. There's only 2 movies that I know of where the director's cut is crap compared to the original, and that's the original Alien, which is just, it's not crap, it's just nothing. It's the theatrical is best. And there's a movie called Mimic, which I love. The director's cut out one of my favorite scenes and is just a bunch of talking and a shit. It doesn't really add anything. Those are the only 2. So I believe that if Friday the 13th, if the directors of 6 or 5, 6, 7, and 8, maybe even 9 or 10, I don't know. Um, but I know that if Friday the 13th, 5 through 7, had been allowed to do what the director wanted to do, and the MPAA had not cut them to shreds, the movies would have been a lot better. So I'm not saying that I hate 5 because I love Tommy, and 6 because I love Tommy. Um, I'm not saying that 5, 6, and 7 that I hate them on principle. I think that 5, 6, and 7 would have been very good movies, you know, especially 5 because it had that new premise. Bringing Jason back for 6 and 7 and the rest. Now he's a zombie type thing instead of a living thing. That's fine. That's cool. I have no problem with that. So my sole problem with the later Friday the 13th movies, it's not the premise, it's not principle. Because like I said on somebody else's stream when they were doing, I don't mind a clone. Okay, you can clone Friday the 13th 1 through 4. You could clone those movies 30 times and I will buy the Blu-ray DVD every time. Just give me some good characters, good kills, give me a location, Have Jason slash them all to hell with good kills, a decent continuation of the story, and that's all that you need. I will buy every Friday the 13th movie, even if it's a clone of the first one or the second one. Well, I think they go down because the studio sees money. See, when a franchise starts, like Friday the 13th, Hellraiser, Halloween, when they start, they're a risk. They're indie. They're independent. The directors are not interfered with. The story is not interfered with. The vision and the priority of the directors are not money. They want money. They want popularity. But the studio then takes notice of Friday the 13th. And instead of being this little side thing that they gave a couple of $1 million to, and said, well, y'all go make this stupid Friday the 13th thing. When they saw the money that it brought in, they took control. Same thing with Halloween. I can't stand Halloween 3. I hate that movie. I can't stand 4 and 5. I absolutely love Halloween 6. I love H2O. I can't stand Resurrection. So it's very hit and miss. Um, and it's all because of interference. So can a franchise go beyond 3 or 4 movies? I think so, as long as the studio has not, as long as you have not caught the studio's attention. But if you catch the studio's attention and they see money signs on your property, they will take it from you. That's the reason why, come on, the MPAA shredded 5, 6, and 7 and 8 of Friday the 13th. How come they didn't shred the first 4? The first 4 are a lot more gory, a lot more bloody, a lot more sex, a lot more everything. Why did they shred later in time as opposed to earlier? You would think things would loosen up, but they didn't. They got tighter. And the reason that they got tighter was because the studio took control. The studio saw money. Hellraiser, the first 3 are great. Then they saw money. Um, uh, I'm trying to think of how to say it. Um, I'm a guy, you're a girl. I'm not saying that matters in anything, but there are certain franchises that become genderized to me. It's like the reason that I could not stand what's that movie, that Marvel movie, Captain Marvel, when they changed Captain Marvel into a woman. I'm like, why don't you give me a Storm movie? You say I don't understand stuff like that. Why did they have to change Captain Marvel into a girl? Why couldn't they instead give me what I want, which is a Storm movie with Halle Berry or someone else playing Storm? Why do you have to take something away from one thing? So, what I'm getting to is that I didn't find 4 and 5, um, Halloween 4 and 5, very appealing because the protagonist is a girl. Um, it just didn't, the little girl, I can't think of her name, but they went with that storyline and it just didn't interest me as much. I didn't feel, maybe it was her performance, I don't know, but I didn't feel sorry for her. But you see, when 6 came around, we're back to J. I think that's what it was. Was I think that 4 and 5 concentrated too much and not enough on Michael Myers. Instead, it was this. They threw me a curveball with a different storyline, and they went into a different direction when I wanted them to stay on Laurie, and I wanted to stay on, 4 and 5 is when they started changing it up. Well, actually, 3 is when they changed it up, right? But 4 and 5 is where they really started changing it up and got into a weird place. Um, and so I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't feel. I didn't feel any fear or terror for the little girl and her psychic connection thing. The story just didn't thrill me. The story thing. I'm not saying the story would have been any better if it had been a male offspring that they switched to. I just didn't like the storyline, the psychic connection thing that was going on. I just didn't really understand it. And to tell you the truth, I haven't watched it. I don't own it. I don't own 4 or 5. Um, I don't think. Maybe I do on a box set or something. I don't know. I would have to watch them again. All I remember is that the little psychic girl, that's the way I thought of it. The little psychic girl connection thing with Michael didn't thrill me. And so that's all. I can't really articulate why 4 or 5 didn't thrill me as much as 6 did. So I don't really know what it is. Probably because I've only seen them the first time I ever saw them and I've never watched them again. Exactly. Exactly. I think that's exactly it. Yeah. They had this psychic connection with a child and this little girl protagonist and I'm like, what is this? What is this thing? And using her psychic connection to try to capture him and stuff like you just said there. I was like that didn't put me over the moon like in a story wise as that I thought it would. So I didn't, you know, it's just like I don't believe that aliens any of the aliens movie would work without Ripley, and they haven't, except for the sequels. I mean but they're prequels, so Ripley doesn't exist in that universe because this Prometheus and Covenant is before Alien. So it's okay to not have Ripley in it. But yeah, you have to be careful with franchises like Hellraiser and Friday the 13th and Halloween. You have to be very careful with franchises like that because you can go in directions that ain't going to work. Like Resurrection, I don't know. I don't even know what to compare it to. I would rather watch 10 hours straight of a televangelist screaming at a camera than I would watch Halloween Resurrection. That is one of the most stupidest, idiotic movies I've ever seen in my life. and yeah, so you have to be careful. And the reason that Friday the 13th franchise was ruined was because of what I just said. They noticed it. You never want the studio to notice your movies if you are a horror filmmaker. If you are a horror filmmaker, I mean, you can ask John Carpenter, you know, you can ask these people, you know, when you made some money and got some popularity, was that good or was that bad? Most of them will tell you, oh no, it was really cool at first, and I was so glad so many people loved my movie, and it was a runaway surprise hit. And now I have the shame I mean, you go back to the very first, if you go back to the very first Friday the 13th movie and you ask him what does he think about the later Friday the 13th movies, he's embarrassed. So because that made money and because the studio noticed it, he has to now live with the fact that Jason Goes to Hell exists. And so this vision of his that his cult following loves him for and loves his movies, he now has to also go, yeah, but my vision also has been taken and shredded and turned into what some people call some of the worst movies ever made. John Carpenter, have you ever heard what he said about Resurrection? you know, um, that's the reason why he's came back to do this final trilogy, to go, look, y'all have screwed up my legacy. This is their legacy. You understand? This is their legacy that you're screwing with. And so when you took the first, Friday the 13th, 1 through 4, and then you turn them into, Jason Goes to Hell, what kind of legacy are you leaving? And so, yeah, can a franchise go 30 movies? Yeah. If you keep them at the same quality and you keep them in the same direction, most of us, all of the horror fans that I know personally in my life, they have no problem with you cloning a movie with slight variations. Give me more Chucky, but keep it good. Give me more Jason. Give me more Michael. Give me more Ripley. Give me more of what I love, but don't screw it up. And then they get dollar signs in their face and, oh, well, we want to make it PG-13. We made so much money on Friday the 13th Part 4. We want to make Part 6. We want to cut it to shreds so that it can reach every theater we can get it in and get the teeny bopper crowd. That's why they cut up movies to make them PG-13, was to make more money. So, yeah, I feel, yeah, go do what you're doing. I'm finishing up and I will be back probably tomorrow night with another stream. But I appreciate you stopping by and anybody else who has. So this has been, I'm still low sub count. I don't do no self promotion. So I end up like nobody ever showing up, which is fine. This is just easier because now I don't have to upload this video. It's already there. So I really didn't expect anyone to show up. But the Alien Quadrilogy, the Alien Director's Cut is an interesting curiosity, but the theatrical is better. You too, Miss C. Alien Director's Cut is an interesting curiosity. He includes some scenes in there just for your pleasure that are not canon. Aliens 2, the director's cut is immensely important. You have to watch the director's cut. You will never touch the theatrical cut again. The director's cut is the true cut. Aliens 3, same situation. It takes that movie from a 5.5 to a 9 to me and to most Alien fans that I know. The assembly cut, aka the director's cut, that is a must-have. And then Resurrection, it doesn't really matter. Few scenes are changed, extended. Yes, you can watch the director's cut over the theatrical cut. So the way you watch these movies, the original theatrical cut of Alien is the true cut. It's the best. Aliens Special Edition Director's Cut, that's what you watch. Aliens 3, you'll never watch the original again after you see the assembly cut. And Resurrection, you can watch either one, but you might as well watch the director's. So this is a wonderful, if you're an Alien fan, you have to have this. Either buy them separately, they release them separately, or you buy the whole box set. You can get this for $20 on eBay, brand new, still in the wrapper. So it's not that expensive. And the Quadrilogy is phenomenal. I think they have a new box set that has all of these plus Prometheus and Covenant, but it's a lot more expensive. And there's not any director's cuts of Covenant and Prometheus. So why would you do that? I already have Prometheus and Covenant Blu-rays right over there. So I don't need that box set. I did want this one for the director's cuts. So yes, if you love Aliens, this is what you want. It is fantastic. I'm glad. Thank you, Miss C, for dropping by. And I did it this way so that I don't have to upload this. It's there and ready to go. And if someone did drop by, I would have a little chat with them. But my new Chucky shirt, I love it. Charles Lee Ray, little red-headed baby boy, ready to cut you up. But I will see you all later. And thanks for tuning in to Scream with me. And enjoy your late Saturday night. Bye-bye.